Dutch, first of all, congratulations on the extension. And what does this ultimately mean for not only you, but your coaches, your players, and your program moving forward?
Well, John, first of all, I'm appreciative to John David Wicker and President De La Torre for having faith in me and the job we're doing, running Aztec basketball. It just means that there's stability in Aztec basketball. This is my 21st year on campus coming up. Obviously, the majority of those was Steve Fisher, who did a great job building this program into what it is. And now my task is to keep it what it is, keep it up on top of the Mountain West and of national relevance.
Could you have ever envisioned this, Coach, when you got to San Diego, when you showed up, like you said, on the Mesa 21 years ago, to see the transformations, the successes, the runs, the 30-win seasons? Was this something you could envision?
I had to envision it, and Coach Fisher did, or we wouldn't have come if we didn't think we could turn this into something special all those years ago. And it was a lot of work, obviously, and a lot of people put time into that, dating back to our original staffs of Jim Thome, Marvin Menzies, Greg Gottlieb, all the way through Justin Hudson, Mark Hughes, Gary Grant. We've had a lot of really good assistant coaches here, Tim Shelton, that have all put time in to build this program to what it is. And now I've got an outstanding staff in David Velasquez, Chris Acker, Jay Morris, J.D. Pollock, Matt Soria, all of us charged with keeping Aztec basketball at the top of this conference.
Coach, first off, congratulations on your contract extension. And we are still in the middle of a pandemic. San Diego State Athletics, they're currently on a 2-week pause because of COVID cases. What type of impact does this have on your basketball program?
It's more psychological than anything. Mm-hmm. We have enough time physically to get the team ready to play. But obviously we had just gotten back into the Jam Center with limited shooting, and we were working strength and conditioning with our new strength coach, Justin Landry, out on the practice fields and lifting and that outside. And we were making steps forward. And then to go with a 2-week pause, we can survive that physically. But mentally it's tough for the kids to turn it off, sit still for 2 weeks and then get back going again. So that's my number one concern, that I keep them focused on school, that the message is positive, that our number one concern is their health and well-being, and that when we feel it's safe and ready to go back to work, we'll go back to work.
Brian Dutcher joining us right now on Xtra 1360. So in the brief time, Coach, you had him on the practice floor. What did the group look like? You have a lot of returnees, but you have some transfers. You have some young players in the freshman class as well. What were your impressions initially?
We had most of the returners back out there. The freshmen, even though they cleared their 10-day quarantine, once they cleared that, then they had to get physical, sickle cell, concussion protocol, baseline tests, and EKGs. And so they had not got out on the field or court yet. They were supposed to come first workout on Friday. The veterans came back in what I thought they would look like. They were in great shape. They had put time in the summer, and I could see that. They looked stronger. They looked like they had put the time in I thought they would, and I was very excited with how the veterans came back.
Head coach of the Aztecs, Brian Dutcher, joining us here on Xtra. Just got a contract extension through the 2025-2026 season. Coach, how is Nathan Mensah looking? Do we have an update on him? And is there any maybe concerns with how he might play out with COVID and how that situation is?
We're taking every precaution with all our players, and Nathan especially, and we're following protocols and keeping them distance, working out with masks, working out with space. But eventually we're going to be working out next to each other. So Nathan has gone through everything he needs to go through doctor-wise to get approved to come back to competition. So I'm excited when we start playing and getting Nathan back out there, because he is such a wonderful player and a really, really good young man that I think he's a difference maker for Aztec basketball. So getting him back out there will be good for Nathan, and it'll really be good for Aztec basketball.
Dutch, how difficult has it been on the scheduling side of things? I imagine it's difficult for coaches and programs across the country with so many variables. But what does the scheduling situation look like right now? Even like an exempt tournament, you guys are scheduled to play in Honolulu during this upcoming season. So how much of the schedule right now is just in flux?
We have plan A, B, C, and D, John, which is kind of funny. It's like We don't know the start date. There seems to be some rumors that it might be November 25th. That'll instantly cost us 2 or 3 games. Whether we go to Hawaii or not, we're talking to ESPN, who runs a lot of these events and televises them, to see if they're rescheduling them, trying to put different situations together where they're played on the mainland. And it's just all scenarios right there. There's nothing etched in stone yet, and so we're preparing ourselves for all the different variables. And it's just like COVID. We're in the gym one week, next week we're not. We're planning for a normal schedule. In 2 or 3 weeks, we may be trying to adjust everything. So we're just trying to be flexible, yet be prepared for whatever happens.
Coach, for the little time that you've had with the team so far, what players have stood out to you from the freshman and class and your transfer class? Any players that stood out more than not here?
Well, the only newcomer that's been on the floor is Joshua from Maryland. And he looks everything like I hoped he would. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic, he has a feel for the game, and I'm excited to add him. Obviously, the returners came back and looked really good. Jordan Shackle looked like he maybe have grown an inch and put a lot of work in, so I think Jordan's ready for a bust-out senior year. Obviously, Matt Mitchell, we know, is coming back, and Adam Seiko, saw both of those guys out there looking good, and Nathan Mensah looks like he looks like a Greek god. I mean, he's carved out of stone. He's physical, he's athletic, and we'll be really excited to have Nathan back.
Yeah, and you mentioned Matt Mitchell there. We haven't talked since Mitchell announced he was coming back. Just how big is that for your club to have a leader like Matt Mitchell returning, coming off a 30-2 year?
Great. I mean, it's great. Matt was a first-team all-conference player, and so for us to be good, Matt has to continue to get better. Obviously, Malachi Flynn was the guy that a lot of the stuff ran through last year, and so Matt has to step up and be a playmaker for us. Not only score the ball, but do the things Malachi did in some of those situations, find his teammates, draw 2 onto him, and move the ball. With that being said, we still have other pieces like Trey Pulliam back, who had to play behind KJ and Malachi last year, and Trey's gotten better. He looks really good. Keyshawn Johnson is as athletic an Aztec as we've ever had, and with a year under his belt, I'm expecting really good things from Keyshawn this year, too.
Coach, any plans to honor last year's 30-2 team, and how will you remember that specific class of players that is no longer with you this season, but helped guide you to, again, one of these memorable years, one of those very special seasons when you get all the way towards the top of the AP poll and could have made a run for a national championship if not for a pandemic?
Yeah, I'd like to honor him, but I'm not sure we'll have anybody in the stands to do it right away. So, I mean,
yeah,
we might have to delay that honoring. I mean, hopefully we're to a point down the road where we can get some fans into the building, and if we can, we'll honor them. But, right now, the way some of these football things are looking, and it's going to be empty stands, or if we can get this thing turned around and get a vaccine and get some positive numbers, maybe we will get people into Viejas this year. It's like I said, and if we do, I would love to honor that team. What a special group that was.
Just an incredible year with those 30 wins. What do you expect for Malachi? Obviously a big couple of weeks for him with the draft coming up at some point in October. I'm sure you're high on the possibilities for Malachi coming up next month.
Yeah, it's so funny to say the draft in October, isn't it?
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. Usually we've already had the draft, and they're playing in Vegas right now, and that's wrapping up, and they're getting ready for the start of a new NBA season. But now with the playoffs going the way they are in the bubble, they won't play next year until December start time. And so everything is so discombobulated that the one thing I do know, Malachi is good enough to be a first-round draft pick. I hope he is. If they make a mistake and don't take him till the second round, someone's going to get a great player at any round when they take Malachi.
Well, Coach, congratulations to you and your family and your basketball family and to fans of San Diego State's men's basketball program on this extension. Great catching up. Have a good Labor Day weekend, and we look forward to seeing your team hopefully on the floor very soon.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Brian Dutcher,